All right, dudes, I'm telling you, man, the government's got some control over YouTube, dudes. This shit sounds crazy, but I put out a 110% video, man, here that's been out here for a long ass time, and I just found out that these assholes have been blocking this video. Okay? If you guys remember how far my views went down since I started putting out these truth videos on the Gulf War illness, these pieces of shit are trying to hide this shit, man. That's the bullshit that you're seeing here with this Navy guy, man. These fucking assholes are trying to hide everything that happened from 91 to 2003. Okay? And part of this government shit, dudes, I'm telling you, man. I mean, a lot of these videos that I put out have been blocked, okay, by this bullshit. You know, there's no reason to be blocking this shit. Fucking asshole. There's a possibility that he could have, you know, made someone in the government mad. Who knows, dudes? I'm going to tell you something, man. There's nobody out here that knows as well as many Gulf War I veterans, okay, how your paperwork can get screwed up. Your DD-214 can get screwed up. All it takes is for someone in DOD to do just like they did with a lot of vets in Gulf War I who served after 1991. You'll find a lot of those vets who went over there during different operations, they don't have an AFEM medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, and they don't have a SWASM to prove that they were ever there, dudes. Trust me, this guy right here is speaking some truth about a lot of this stuff when he talks about Gulf War. He's not making this shit up. He's been around someone, either he's been around someone or he was there, one of the two. Okay, and you're hearing that from me. You guys know me, 155mm. I don't go out of my way to protect valor thieves. Let's hear it.
And so, from this point, you were. Can you describe the team you worked with briefly, and then how you were sent out on missions, and where specifically the problems began?
Originally, we were deployed to missions throughout the Middle East. In various countries. The one that mainly I spent time in was Iraq, and that area of the Middle East. To most people's understanding, I think everybody thinks that the Gulf War ended shortly after it began in 1991. However, I do have personal experiences that would say that the level of occupation and level of violence that the American military perpetrated between 1992 and 2000 would be surprising to most people, I believe. When I started operating in about 1992 to about 1995, most of the missions that we were performing seemed military targets and above board and worthwhile for the level of effort that we were putting into it.
Although we were not at war.
Although we were not at war, we were going after viable quote-unquote targets, or things that at least seemed viable from the outside.
Okay, but they were so in a sense, I mean, if we're not at war, for us to be sending a Tomahawk missile to bomb even a military installation in another country is technically an act of war, is it not?
It's very much an act of war, and completely violates UN rules and regulations, yes.
Okay, and so you were doing this on a regular basis?
Yes.
As part of a top secret group?
Correct.
Okay, so at this point you were doing targets, and you were doing them in what countries?
Throughout the Middle East.
Do you want to name some of those countries?
Some of the big ones that everybody would recognize: Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan, one or two in Iran, Yemen, Syria, Libya. Those are the ones that people would appreciate knowing about.
And would this be termed asymmetrical warfare?
Very much so. Based on the fact that the level of industrial revolution complex material that we were using against these countries, they had nothing that could counteract it or prevent it. Generally, I would deal with both kinds of missiles. However, the bomblets or the cluster bombs would have been dropped prior to...
That's DPICM, what he's talking about.
...me ever seeing the missile. That would have been done remotely, usually.
By someone else?
By the missile itself on a pre-programmed path. Cluster bombs usually are anti-personnel or small, soft targets. When we were designating targets, we were usually going after buildings.
Okay, interesting. So you also talked about the cost of each missile.
That was one of the things that we always questioned. They were amazingly expensive, $1.2 million each, and let's just say that the one unclassified thing that I can talk about Tomahawk missiles is to encourage everybody to get online and figure out how many were used between 1992 and 2000 and see if those numbers ring true.
People have forgotten that for 7.5 years, we found weapons of mass destruction.
It is obvious that there is an attempt here, based on the whole history of this operation since 1991, to protect whatever remains of his capacity to produce weapons of mass destruction, the missiles to deliver them, and the feedstocks necessary to produce them.